In today's video, we have several NHL injuries to update you on, plus we have some NHL trade rumors involving the LA Kings, the Edmonton Oilers, the Carolina Hurricanes, as well as the Buffalo Sabres. We'll jump into all the latest news coming up next. So welcome back here to Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have a variety of news items to update you on, so let's jump right in and get started with some of the latest injuries from around the NHL. Arizona Coyotes defenseman Jordan Oesterle is likely going to be out for a little while. He had an unfortunate incident in their last game where he took a shot to the back of the head and at the same time ended up getting the goaltender Darcy Kuemper's glove to his face. He was feeling dizzy between periods, was taken to the hospital for precautionary reasons. Everything's led to believe he will be fine, but it's just a matter of exactly how long that's going to take. Because he was dizzy and everything that happened, would not be shocking to find out that he might have a concussion. He did end up getting some stitches to the back of his head as well, so he likely will be out for at least a short term. Not quite clear exactly how long, but certainly a little bit of a scary incident involving Oesterle and the Coyotes, and hopefully long term he'll be okay. The Calgary Flames might be down a couple of forwards for the next little while as well. Forwards Andrew Mangiapane and Elias Lindholm both went down with injuries during the last game and are both considered day-to-day and may or may not be available for the next little while here. It's really hard to say until we get more updates from the Calgary Flames. Post-game, the Flames did not provide any additional updates. They were still being evaluated, so we don't really know at this time what the long-term prognosis is for either player, but it looks as though they both possibly could be out. So that would certainly be a big blow for the Flames if they lost both those guys for the short term. Now, Colorado Avalanche forward and top player Nathan MacKinnon is also questionable for tonight's game as well. He very well may or may not be available, be a game time decision. If he's going to be out for any period of time, that certainly would be a big blow for the Avalanche. The fact that he's considered a game time decision would make you think it's probably nothing too serious, and it just boiled down to whether or not he can go or whether or not rest might be better suited for him to kind of recover from the injury so it doesn't drag on too long. But either way, if he's hurt, certainly a big blow for the Avalanche, so hopefully he'll be able to play tonight and not miss any action. Edmonton Oilers defenseman Joel Persson is also in concussion protocol, so he likely is going to be out for a little while here, but the Oilers have been playing really strong. Their decor has been pretty solid so far as well, so I don't think that's going to be a huge blow for the team, but hopefully he'll be okay longer term as well. Many of the other defensemen on the Oilers roster have been playing quite strong, so it shouldn't be too big of a blow here to the team, but certainly wish him a speedy recovery as well. Now jumping over to some of the latest NHL trade rumors, the Carolina Hurricanes apparently have been kicking tires on a couple of young forwards around the NHL that have made it clear they want a change in scenery and would like to be traded, and that includes Islanders forward Josh Hosang and Edmonton Oilers forward Jesse Puljujarvi, who's currently playing over in Finland. Now both of these players have been on the radar for the Hurricanes really for some time, especially Puljujarvi was on the radar a little bit sooner because that trade request was made known a lot sooner than the Josh Hosang one. Obviously that didn't really come to be until after training camp was over, the season was getting underway, and obviously he wasn't getting an opportunity and is kind of tired of not having an opportunity, which is why he's looking for a fresh start somewhere else. But obviously a lot of that has to do with himself as well, not just the team. But either way, he's not getting the opportunity he feels he deserves and would like a fresh start somewhere else. And the Carolina Hurricanes are pretty stacked right now. They're playing extremely well, therefore I don't really see them kind of jumping into making any rash decisions to really change up their lineup. They really don't need to do that. They're relatively healthy. They're playing real strong. A lot of their new additions are fitting in nicely as well because they had quite a bit of a turnover throughout the offseason, including guys like Ryan Dzingel, Eric Howla up front. Obviously, Captain Justin Williams ended up not coming back, so they have a new captain right now, but they're still optimistic and hopeful that Williams might join the team later into the season. Until Williams makes a final decision and announcement, we really don't know for sure if that's going to be possible or not. So obviously the Hurricanes are not in a situation where they really need to make a move, but both forwards are intriguing to them. I think Puljujarvi out of the two would make more sense. They certainly have a lot of other Finnish players that they've had success with. He's played with Sebastian Aho in the past and had some success, so that certainly would be a possibility that they might want to explore again. So I can see them maybe inquiring on Puljujarvi. I don't really see Hosang fitting there. There's been some other rumors about Hosang with some other teams, but because of all the baggage he comes with and everything that's associated with him, I'm not really sure that too many other teams are really going to be too anxious to jump out and give him an opportunity. But he has made it known he's willing to do anything, even if he has to go to the minors for a short time and reprove himself, that it's something he's willing to do. So I guess we'll see what happens with Hosang and Puljujarvi, but the Hurricanes apparently do have some minor interest in both. But as long as things are going the way they are, I would imagine that they'll probably stand pat and kind of keep an eye on those situations moving forward into the remainder of the year. Now, the Los Angeles Kings are another team to keep your eye on. Obviously, they get off to another slow start. Last year was not good for the Kings as well, and they do have some players that are likely going to be moved this year. One of the big ones to keep your eye on is Ilya Kovalchuk. Now, of course, he signed a 3-year contract to come back to the NHL with the Kings last year. There was a fair bit of other interest from other teams when he ended up signing with LA. Obviously, he's looking for a chance to win a Stanley Cup as well as have personal success. So clearly, that's not happening right now in LA. And really, throughout this 3-year contract, I'd be surprised if the Kings can get things turned around. So even though he does have a no trade clause in his contract for this year and a partial one for next, would not be surprising if he'd be willing to waive to go to the right opportunity. He has gotten off to a better start this year so far as well. He's looking to be a little bit better. He's put up some decent points. So another team very well might be willing to take that shot. If they make that trade for Kovalchuk, they'd have him for this year and next before his contract expires. The main teams that were interested in him at the time when he signed with LA were the Sharks and the Bruins. It's debatable to say if either of those teams would be interested now. I mean, obviously the Sharks just signed Patrick Marleau. I don't think either of those teams would really have the appropriate cap space to handle that contract right now without moving out another contract similar value. But obviously we'll keep an eye on the situation. But Kovalchuk likely will get more interest as the season goes on if he continues to play well, and try to see if he'd be willing to accept a trade. I know Pierre LeBrun on NHL Insider Trading on TSN has talked about this in their most recent segment, and certainly would not be surprised, like I said, to see that come up. Now, of course, we've also saw Bob McKenzie talking about Jonathan Quick, and it's a player we've talked about here before, other reports as well as my own personal thoughts. Jonathan Quick is slowly falling out of favor in LA. He continues to play poorly, get off to a bad start. Now we've now seen backup goaltender Jack Campbell kind of start slowly to take over that number one job. He's played consecutive games. He's certainly putting up better results than Quick has been, so it's not looking good. They also have Cal Peterson, who's a very promising goaltender. He's currently playing for their American Hockey League affiliate. They do have to be careful, though, for the time being. I mean, obviously, Cal Peterson's a player who's not too far from needing waivers, so they don't want to rush into things. Goaltenders like Peterson, they need to either have 3 pro seasons or 60 NHL games. This is his 3rd season. He still needs 49 more games to hit 60 NHL games, so that would be unlikely to be achieved this year. Obviously, he'd have to play quite a substantial amount with Campbell if Quick were to be moved or demoted or whatever happened in that scenario before he would require that. And obviously, like I said, they got to be careful with the waivers requirements for Peterson. But obviously, Jonathan Quick's in a position where he's probably untradeable right now. Last year was not good for him. This year's off to an even worse start. He still has a lot of time left on his contract at a pretty high cap hit. He's got 4 more years, including this one at $5.8 million. He's 33 years old, not playing well. Who's going to want to take that contract on? I think really the only possible scenario would be a bad contract for bad contract type of swap situation. And it's not something we usually see during the season. There was some people talking, I've seen online, about a possible Jonathan Quick to New Jersey for Corey Schneider, as obviously he struggled as well. And maybe a change of scenery, change of goaltending coaches very well might help get things turned around. They've both gone through similar things in their career with different injuries. Obviously, Quick, I think it's fair to say, he's had more success. Got some Stanley Cups to his belt here, whereas Schneider does not. But either way, it's an interesting thing to take a look at. Contract-wise, Quick's locked up a little bit longer as well, so might not be something New Jersey really wants to do. So it's going to be a difficult situation for the LA Kings. Obviously, Jonathan Quick's had a lot of success, but that contract is looking real bad now after the last year, and now another bad start, and just proven to be untradeable, although it is something I think they clearly would like to do definitely before the start of next year. Now, as I mentioned before as well, another LA King to keep your eye on is Tyler Toffoli. Obviously, he's a pending unrestricted free agent. We haven't really heard a lot of talks about them extending him, and it looks at this point that they have a lot of other players, that we've talked about here that have longer term contracts, so it would prove to be difficult to trade, and where they're kind of needing to go through a bit more of a rebuild before they can really get things turned around. Toffoli might be a guy we see on the move. Now, as we talked about over the summer, I think the LA Kings have a terrific prospect pool. They have a lot of promising prospects coming up through their system, and they need to make room for these guys to take on bigger roles over the next few years as they can help get things turned around and really take the LA Kings back to being more of a playoff team and a potential contender down the road. So obviously, I do think we could see guys like Toffoli and Kovalchuk and Quick slowly moved out here to kind of start that progress throughout the year if things don't get turned around. And at this point, I think the Kings are going to have a tough season and likely going to have to make some hard decisions. Now, one other quick update out of the Buffalo Sabres organization as well. Now, one trade target that was discussed a lot through the offseason was Rasmus Ristolainen, because he had acknowledged that he wanted a fresh start and would like to be traded. But obviously, Obviously, the Sabres went through a lot of changes. They have a new head coach, and now he seems to be singing a different tune at this point. He seems to be much happier with the coaching systems that he's put in place, and at this point, it doesn't look as though Ristolainen is really wanting to be traded any longer. So it looks as though that is kind of settled and likely won't be something that we'll be seeing. Of course, you can never say never, but it looks as though Ristolainen is happy and content to remain in Buffalo here for the short term. And considering the Sabres start, I would not be surprised to see them stand pat and kind of ride with what they have for a time being. I want to update you on that situation in case you hadn't heard as well. So Ristolainen likely staying put in the Sabres organization for at least a short term. So that is all your latest news and updates for today. Of course, as always, we'll know your thoughts and opinions and everything down in the comment section. So let me know what your thoughts are, and we can continue the conversation. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future videos, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it as well. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.